Now somebody answer me this question. Is it not Christmas in June? Because we just got our first look last week for the live action Avatar The Last Airbender series, and today, well, overnight, we got some more news. What's going on, everyone? James here with some real news, and that's right, we're talking all about Avatar The Last Airbender on Netflix, the live action series expected next year. Now, if you missed out on my reaction to the first look at our main cast last week, you're going to want to check that out in the description below because, y'all, there was some excitement to be had. But today we're talking all about some news that was released overnight, and yes, every single episode title was revealed. Now I'm going to dive into my breakdown of each episode title and give you some of my theories and predictions, but before I do that, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about movies, TV, and all the news in between. So if you do too, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and hit the thumbs up button so you don't miss out on future news coverage for Avatar The Last Airbender, because we're probably going to be getting a trailer next year, early next year, and we're going to have more news to talk about as we get closer to that release date. And get loud down below in the comments and let me know what you think of these episodes and give me some of your predictions as well, because I'm a little lost on some of these episode titles, but we'll talk about that. Now let's get right into the news itself. This report comes from Caleb Williams from Night Edge Media. He's a friend of the channel, and he broke the news on Twitter. Now this happened overnight, your boy was sleeping, but we'll read each title right now. Now Caleb made sure to mention these episodes are not in order. We have Into the Dark, Legends, Masks, Omashu, Warriors, Spirited Away, The Last Airbender, and The North. Already, I'm getting an epic sense from each of these titles, and I do like them. The one that's on the nose for me is probably Spirited Away. I mean, it's a great film, don't get me wrong, but as an episode title, it's like a little too obvious. I don't know. They could have maybe went to the drawing board on that one again, but so far, so good. Now, Avatar News followed up that report with reorganizing the episode titles in the order they believe will get it, because apparently Avatar News knows a little bit more about the plot than I do. So this is the graphic that Avatar News tweeted out, and here are the episodes in the order they believe we'll get in 2024. Episode 1 will be The Last Airbender, then we have Warriors, Omashu, Spirited Away, Into the Dark, Masks, and the penultimate episode will be The North, with the season 1 finale being Legends. And I will add a footnote to all of these episode titles. They're reportedly from a Writers Guild of America finding and discovery, so it seems like it's pretty legit, guys. It does seem like these episodes are going to be titled exactly this, but we just don't know the exact order. I tend to agree with Avatar News on the order of things, especially if you go back and do a little bit of research on season 1 like I did, which we'll get into in just a little bit. Now, before we get into my breakdown and theories, I want to make a comment here. If you're looking at this and saying, 8 episodes, you're out of your mind, don't fret. They're each an hour long, according to a 2022 report by Avatar News. So we knew this for a while. They're going to be an hour long, which is par of the course for Netflix seasons of television at this rate. They're going to be at least like 55 to 60 minutes long. But if you do the math, and I did, even though I didn't do it off the top of my head, thank you, calculator. Each episode in season 1 of the original series was about 22 minutes long, because I was excluding credits. And you do the math, you do 22 times 24, and then you kind of divide that by 60, and you get 8.8 hours of television, if I'm not mistaken, for season 1 of the original animated series. So we're probably getting that, and maybe a little bit more in live action with 8 one-hour episodes, because we know that sometimes penultimate episodes and season finales tend to be a little bit longer because there's a lot more that they stuff into these episodes, especially with the ground they have to cover in season 1 of Avatar The Last Airbender on Netflix. Because in book 1, we got a ton of content, guys. 24 episodes is no joke, and there are a lot of cool storylines, but I have to imagine the Great Divide will not be a part of this live action adaptation, even though I don't mind that episode. Alrighty, y'all, so now it's time to dissect the episode titles and give you some of my theories and predictions for what we could expect from each of these episodes. I'm going to go ahead and use the Avatar News episode order, and we'll begin with The Last Airbender. I can only imagine this is the intro to this series that we got in season 1 of the original series. I don't necessarily see why they would want to change this around. Sometimes I get it, with live action adaptations, you tend to take creative liberties, which is understandable to a degree, but here, you might as well go scene by scene because it was a perfect opening to a perfect series, and I'm just going to be so happy to see Katara and Sokka spend some more time with Kiawentiio and of course Ian Ousley, and then when they come upon Aang and the iceberg, I think it's going to be really cool and it's going to feel epic in scale. And then you go to the Southern Water Tribe and we're going to get introduced to Gran Gran, who is played by Casey Camp Horanek, and I'm excited to see her as Gran Gran, and of course we're going to get introduced pretty early on to Dallas Liu as Zuko and Paul Sun-Hyung Lee as Uncle Iroh. So this series premiere is going to be a tone setter, similar to the animated series that we're so familiar with. Now, if I had to speculate what could be included in the series premiere, based on the title of episode 2, I think The Last Airbender will be an episode that combines the storylines of episodes 1 through 4 in season 1 of the original series. So we'll even get introduced to the Southern Air Temple in the very first episode with a nice dosage of Zuko and Uncle Iroh. We need it, we need it, we need it. I think it would be a good idea to sort of try to combine all of that, but in a way that makes sense. They're going to have to really find that right balance of pacing and slow burn action. We need a little bit of downtime with our characters, because what I love the most about Avatar The Last Airbender as a series is how likable the characters are. And how do we get to like these characters? Well, we spend time with them, we learn about their backstory, so we'll need a lot of downtime in this series. It's not just all going to be action-packed, so I'm excited to see how they set the table with the Season 1 premiere. Now, when it comes to Episode 2, Warriors, well, I think this can only mean one thing. Warriors of Kyoshi, rise up! You already know, I love Suki as a character. I think she is awesome, and I love that she basically put Sokka in his place, his little misogynistic self, in Season 1, but we're going to get a healthy dosage, I think, here too, of Maria Zhang as Suki. And we know Sokka falls head over heels for Suki, literally and figuratively. And it seems like we're probably going to get a lot of Yvonne Chapman as Avatar Kyoshi, presumably in a flashback, or multiple flashbacks. We'll see what happens and how they structure this episode. Now, moving on to Episode 3, Omashu. Listen, King Boomy, it's your time, boy. Stand up if you can. Well, you can, you just look a little old at first. I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to how we'll see King Boomy in this series. He's played by Utkarsh and Budkar, and I do think there's going to be a decent amount of makeup and prosthetics at play here, because they're going to have to age Utkarsh and Budkar quite a bit. They're not going to go full CGI here. At least I hope they don't, because it could either be really good or really bad in terms of the design for this character. There's really no in-between. It's either going to be incredibly immersive or incredibly distracting. I'm not going to hyperfixate on how accurate it looks to the original series, because again, this is probably one of the harder characters to adapt in a live-action setting. So I'll take it as it is, judge it on its own merit, and I'm really hoping there's going to be a good amount of makeup in an effective way, because the costumes so far look good. I just really hope the makeup is up to par. I also think in Episode 3 we're going to see a B-plot that involves Katara helping Earthbenders trapped on a Fire Navy ship, a la Haru's story. Now moving on to Episode 4, Spirited Away. This is the one title that I thought, it's on the nose. I understand why they titled it Spirited Away, because this is most likely going to be a combination of Winter Solstice Parts 1 and 2, the story arc in Season 1 that involves Aang going to the spirit world to try to rescue Sokka from the Heibai spirit, and then stumbling upon Avatar Roku's dragon that takes Aang to Avatar Roku's statue, and they definitely learn more about Sobzin's comet. So I do think the CGI is going to be put to a heavy test here, and I'm hoping it passes. This is most likely why the series has been pushed back to 2024. It's because, or at the same time, they haven't really officially confirmed anything before this past weekend, but they waited on this because the VFX can literally break this series if it's not done well. So I just cannot wait. I'm really hopeful, and I can't wait to see C.S. Lee as Avatar Roku as well. It's going to be pretty cool. Now with episode 5, Into the Dark, I don't necessarily know what this episode could consist of, but I'm gonna throw a guess out there and you guys tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right on the money. Maybe it'll be a lot of what we saw in the episode The Storm from the original series. That episode is described as Aang reliving the events after finding out that he is the Avatar 100 years ago and telling them to Katara, while Uncle Iroh tells the story of Zuko's scar and his banishment. I could see the story getting a little dark in those moments, you know what I mean? Maybe they throw a more mature spin on things, but this could be an incredibly emotional episode. I really hope that's what we get, but again, I'm not necessarily sure what they'll do here because there's a lot of in-between arcs and mini arcs from Spirited Away to Into the Dark. Now with episode 6, which is titled Masks, I mean guys, it is obvious, right? The blue spirit is going to be all up in this episode. Now I love that episode, right? The Blue Spirit is an amazing episode in season 1 where Zuko dons that Blue Spirit mask and goes to rescue Aang from the Fire Army, Fire Nation, Fire Peoples. You know, we don't like them. But I'm really excited to see where they'll go with this, and I can't wait to see Dallas Liu possibly break out in this episode. This might be the episode where we see him solo for the most part, and not really with Uncle Iroh, Katara, Sokka, Aang, and the gang. So I'm excited to see what Dallas Liu does in this episode, because this could be a very Zuko-centric episode, which I'm hopeful for. Now with the final 2 episodes, The North and Legends, I don't really know what they'll do here, but they might just group together the final stretch from the original series in season 1, which would be Aang traveling to the Northern Air Temple, and then the season finale, which is the Siege of the North. And I'm sure y'all are gonna need some Kleenexes, because when Princess Yue dies and reincarnates as the Moon Spirit, Sokka's gonna cry, and so will we. Yeah. But I really can see these final 2 episodes being incredibly action-packed, which should translate well to live action so long as the VFX and CGI are smooth, but I do anticipate a slow burn up until the final 2 episodes, because like we saw in the original series, things got real fast. Aang's gonna be a big fish. Fish out of water. Get it? It's a dad joke, it's stupid. But man, I am excited. Like, all of these episode titles really flow well for me. The only one I'm nervous about again is Spirited Away. It's too, don't like it. But for the most part, all of these episodes, at least they sound good. And if they are in the order that Avatar News had them, and all of my predictions either come true or maybe they supersede some of my predictions and do above whatever I'm thinking they're going to do, and they succeed, I can't wait, because this is setting up to be something fun. Now that we got the episode titles though, I guess a lot of you are going to be asking, when are we going to get an official poster? When are we going to get a teaser trailer, a full-length trailer? I think if I had to guess here, okay? I'll put my thinking cap on. January. January is when we get a poster. I think February is probably when we start getting some trailers, and they're going to maybe release this spring 2024. I can see that happening. If they go past that, you're losing a little bit of momentum here, guys. You got to kind of keep this pace up. So far, so good with the live action Avatar The Last Airbender series. But let me know down below in the comments what your thoughts are. And if you love these episode titles just like I do, go ahead and feel free to sound off. I can't wait to talk all about Avatar with you guys. The good Avatar, not the other Avatar. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't already, and you're at this point in the video, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and hit the thumbs up button again to get this video in the faces of fans that love Avatar The Last Airbender, just like I do. It's a tongue twister, guys. You better try that 10 times fast. Alrighty, y'all. Again, thanks so much for watching. And yes, okay, I had to say it, I guess, because of this guy in the background. I am excited for the CGI Appa. It better be good, y'all. It better be good. Alrighty, guys. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.